We have Manuel Pellegrini and the captain Joaquin Sanchez. Boy muscles, you can use the translation devices. Hello, good afternoon. How are you looking forward to the game tomorrow? And how much experience will you need coming into Old Trafford? Well, first, we look at the game tomorrow as a very important game. We're really excited. Last year, we couldn't get to this stage of the competition because we were knocked out by the champion in the 99th minute. So we've kind of got that kind of thing on our back that we want to get rid of. We're going to take on Manchester United. We're going to take them on in a two-leg game, and we're going to see if we can go through. And what are my memories of coming here? Well, I've played 2 Champions League games with Villarreal when Manchester United were managed by Sir Alex Ferguson. And then when I played for Manchester City, when I was manager there, and West Ham, and obviously the rivalry we had with Manchester City was an unbelievable experience. Obviously they played a great game, your team against Real Madrid. What feelings do you have going into this game? I have the feelings that we're getting into good stages because we're putting in those performances. I think it's fundamental for the club to continue to grow, to give an extra step in terms of what we've already achieved. Not to be happy with what we've done. We always need to have that ambition. That's the most important thing, to take it onto the pitch, and we need to take a further step forward. It will be a great game. I hope that we enjoy it and we go through. How's Canales? He's travelled. Is he ready to play in a game, a full game, or do you need to kind of manage the minutes that he plays? Sergio Canales, like the rest of the group that are on the list, means that they're fit to play. We've spoken to our medical staff, and we've spoken to the medical team, and we've decided on what would be the ideal period that he could play in. We'll see what the best options are for our first 11 tomorrow. Playing against a team that's just been beaten 7-0, does that change a manager's way that he will face up to the game, his plans? No, I think more than playing against a team that have lost 7-0, we're taking on a team that have won 19 out of their previous games prior to that game. In football, these things can happen. You know, these low points, we'll see how they recover. I think, obviously, there's a great rivalry between Liverpool and Manchester United. I don't think it will change the way that we approach this game. It will have anything to do with their previous game. Football is just not like that. Joaquin, you're on a stage like this. It's a dream place to play. You have had some great battles in your career. I don't know if you think you're still able to do this. Or yesterday, the manager has clear ideas on what he wants to do. Yeah, he knows me very well, the manager. He knows me very well. We've had a conversation a number of times. But as a player, obviously, it's a dream to play somewhere like Old Trafford against Manchester United. When you're a kid, you always want to play these types of games. So we have that, delighted to be here, and we're going to give absolutely everything, play the way we know how to play, because regardless of the moment tomorrow that we play the game, we need to compete at our best to try and get a good result, and then to make us feel comfortable in the second game. I know you have experience. It's 120 minutes of a game, and you're playing on a magnificent stage, and obviously you have to think about the return leg in your own ground. Of course, it's really important. First, we've got to think about the 2 games that we play. We play the first game away from home, so we have to be really concentrated and come away with a good result. But there are many examples that after the first game you can't say it's won or lost. There are so many examples of that in football, so you have to take that into account. The last few years you played in San Siro, Old Trafford, some huge games. I don't know if you're looking forward to repeating that. Yeah, of course, totally. As I said before, you always want to dream about competing in a stadium like this against a huge team like Manchester United. And of course, the last thing I'm thinking about now is not continuing playing football. Right now, at this stage of my career, when I'm 41, to be able to play in a game like this is a privilege, is a dream. And it makes me proud to be able to face an opponent, such an important, historic opponent like Manchester United. For the manager, taking into account that we don't know if we're going to see the Manchester United that have won titles in the past, or the Manchester United that fell 7-0 to Liverpool, what would be a good result for you in terms of the game tomorrow? For me, a good result would be to win. That's always the stage. And then the second option, if you can't do that, what would be good? What would be a good result? A good display to show that Betis can play as close as possible to the way we normally play, whether that be in Europe or in the Spanish league. If we have playing a better opponent in front of us, perhaps we won't win. But I think we have to be the same team as always. And I think it's going to be a very tight game. That we're at the kind of decisive moments of the league. How are you feeling that amongst yourselves within the group in comparison to other teams? Well, I think we're coming to an important stage where we all need to be switched on if we want to be successful. In previous years, we've done very well. But we all are switched on. You know that at any time you can have this opportunity and you have to take advantage of it. We've had people missing in the squad, but I feel that we're good. We're in good shape. I think we're almost at 200% at the moment because we're coming to important stages in the season. And the club and the team, it's important so that they can continue to grow. We know this is our opportunity, and tomorrow, as the manager says correctly, it's going to be a lovely game to put on a good show and come away with a good result for the second leg. Mr. Pellegrini, in knockout stages, when you have 2 games in front of you, when you're facing a team that are experienced in Europe, would you say that they're no favourites because this knockout game could be equal? Well, the only way to answer that question is on the pitch. They have obviously more economical power, let's say, financial power, but you have to show that on the pitch, and that will depend on the way we play, individual performances of their players, and also the collective function of the team tomorrow. So hopefully we can perform at a good level. I don't like to talk about favourites. We don't feel inferior, or we don't believe that we're any better than Manchester United. We have to show it within the 90 minutes tomorrow on the pitch. And Joaquin, you've been close to playing for Premier League teams. Would you have liked to have gone to a Premier League team in the past, in your professional career? Well, that period that people talk about a lot was when I was close to going to Chelsea back in the day. But I was never a footballer that wanted to leave Betis at that time because I was happy because I felt like an important player in that team. Many people say that perhaps you lost a lovely opportunity to go and play for an English side, but I was happy. Being happy was the most important thing for me. So I've had and I have the opportunity to continue coming here to play, to enjoy this marvellous league, and to play against a wonderful side like Manchester United. It's a complete privilege for me. I don't want to annoy you with this question, but you've often come to places like this thinking that it's your last occasion. Do you feel that now? No, I promise you that I don't think about those things, because if I started to think that it's my last opportunity, I would play it a different way and I wouldn't enjoy it in the same way. So to be honest, I have to tell you, it's just not the way I'm thinking at the moment. I said to one of your colleagues earlier that it's just about enjoying it and feeling important within the squad, enjoying being a footballer and having this privilege of playing at this type of ground against a fantastic team like Manchester United. And that's the last thing going through my mind, thinking that this is going to be my last type of game at this type of ground. Question for the manager. Given your experience as a manager, does it motivate you? Does it motivate even more given that you've been a manager in this country? Well, obviously there were 3 unbelievable years I had as a Manchester City manager, that rival we had with Manchester United. We were able to get the better of them in that period, winning the Premier League, and we played a good game against Manchester United during that period as well. The most important right now is Betis, the game we're going to play tomorrow, but obviously there is a rivalry that exists, and during those 3 years I was on the other side of the city. And what type of game do you visualise tomorrow, Joaquin? Perhaps you could start tomorrow in the first 11. What are you feeling? What kind of game do you visualise? You'll have to ask the manager on that one. Do you see a similar game that you had on Sunday against Real Madrid? No, the game's going to be a really intense game. A game in which we're going to have to play in the way that we identify, in a happy way, being aggressive, going head-to-head with any team. I think that's our identity and our philosophy. I don't think we can lose that, because in that way we wouldn't be Betis. Again, we know the team that we have in front of us, and it's another game. So I think the game tomorrow will be difficult, with a lot of intensity, but we need to be aggressive, intense. That's the way we play it. And we need to be prepared for that type of a game, because right now, that's what you're going to find. Teams who bring lots of intensity, who are strong, aggressive, with great players. Question for Joaquin. You've managed to lift the Copa del Rey recently. Historically, Betis haven't been that important in Europe. Is the group mentalised? Does it have that mentality to enjoy being in the European competitions? And do you think they can do something significant in Europe? Well, I think as footballers, or the ones that are in the Betis squad at the moment, are ready, mentally ready to compete at the top level. And the top level is this one, obviously. I think you can always take an important step. I think since Manuel has come, we've spent a number of seasons getting into European competitions. We're growing as a team. And I think there's that kind of a normal feeling that we're advancing, that we're taking next steps, but we keep our feet on the ground. We know that they are some very, very strong teams, important teams in Europe. And it needs to motivate us even more to play in these types of games against this type of team. But we need to have this mentality that we have to compete. Because this is the lovely part of it, that each year you can enter into European competitions, and bit by bit you keep growing as a team. And that's the most important thing.
Yes, no problem.
Welcome back.
Thanks.
I just want to touch about it a little earlier, but What was your reaction to the weekend's result from Manchester United? And as a former Manchester City manager, did you have a little?
Well, it really was unbelievable. I was watching the first 45 minutes because after that we had to play against Real Madrid, so I couldn't see when Liverpool scored the other 6 goals. But of course, I understand immediately what will happen in Manchester United. So rivalry between Liverpool and Manchester that you have a so amount of goals, well, it will not be easy for them. But well, I am a Manchester City fan also, so I was not very sad about what happened.
Does that result make this game more difficult to prepare for?
Well, I don't think so. It depends how they react on that defeat. It's just one game that in football can happen, but I think that will not. Or at least I think that we cannot think, not one moment, that we are going to play against a team that has the defeat of 7-0. We are going to play against Manchester United, as I just said, that in the last 21 games they won 19.
Right, just following on from that, the players and the manager have spoken about making amends, bouncing back. Are you wary of a backlash tomorrow from them?
It depends how they react. I don't think that they will play with the last game in their mind. I think that they will play in the duty that they have to qualify for the next round of the Europa League. But and also we are not going to start the game thinking that they will have the defeat of 7-0 inside them. We play against a difficult team. We must be the best Betis that we can do it if we want to have a good result here.
Hi. Do you think Manchester United knocked Barcelona out the last round, but they also lost to Sociedad, which is why they ended up in the playoffs anyway? Do you think they may underestimate you because you're not Real Madrid, you're not Barcelona? Because Spanish teams do have a really good record in this competition.
Well, I cannot know what they will be, what they will think about us. But if Real Sociedad could do it here and they won the group with Manchester United, because we can do it also, we can beat Manchester United. Also in Europe, if you see the competition, a lot of Spanish team won the Champions League. So it's difficult to know what they will think about us, but what I am absolutely sure that we are going to play in the same way that we need to do it if we want to qualify for the next group, for the next stage. That is our target.
Las cuestiones, Manuel.
Sí, para Joaquín va a haber 3.000.
There will be 3,800 Betis fans here at Old Trafford tomorrow. What's the dream that they have, and what dream do you have? Well, it's easy to dream here. Overall, as I said before, we need to play well, compete at the level that this type of game deserves. Our dream is to get a good result, and of course, that all these Betis fans go home happy, having seen their Betis compete against a great team in Manchester United.
Ahora tengo un momento que te van a hacer una foto, ¿vale?